Hi, welcome to Niku's journey of week 11 with the Artist Way. And I'm sure in my voice y'all could hear the exhaustion. Ooh, I feel like physically a lot of drainage, emotionally a lot of just mixing. What's today? Today is Friday, July 25th. Beautiful and hot in New York City. And a lot of big transitions are coming for me. And I think I've been like building in these transitions this entire process. So let's check in. Week 11, recovering a sense of autonomy. I'm going to start with the check-ins from the week. How many days a week did you do your morning pages? I don't really do them every single day. I think I did them like once this week or twice. Have you recommended the morning pages to anyone else? Yes, I stay recommending. Well, to be honest, not the morning pages. I recommend more like the readings and the books. I'm starting to feel nauseous. I feel like talking about this is making me nervous. I'm starting to get like, okay. Did you do your artist date this week? Not really. Not really. I haven't really been doing these fundamental things, and I've been gentle with myself with the fact that I'm not doing them like the way I want to do them, and trying to not let that perfectionism kick in. But the readings are very, very powerful. The assignments are still super powerful, and I understand why she would assign morning pages and artist dates. It just makes it more likely you're more aligned with yourself, you're more aligned with your creative self when you're in these practices. And I think it's a beautiful tool to have in your arsenal that can keep you grounded. And I forget if it was this chapter she mentions it, but it is this chapter. It made me think about it. It was much easier to do these things when I had a greater sense of solitude. And right now I feel like things that are completely out of my control are like changing, moving, whooshing, woo, woo, woo. And it takes away solitude. And when my solitude is gone, it's really hard to get into these weekly, daily practices that's necessary to feel connected to self and your artist. But I get it. However, this week, recovering a sense of autonomy is very on brand. And that is sort of the biggest synchronicity that I'm experiencing with this process. These weeks, I get to these weeks and I read the week that I need when I need it. The weeks that take me a little bit longer to process, I take longer to process. But then by the time I get to a particular week, it's me doing readings when I really need to do the readings. And I think recently I have been in multiple situations completely out of my control that are really testing my self sense of autonomy and really testing what that means to me, and if I really truly understand the extent to which I have that autonomy. And it really allows these readings to bring whatever to the surface that needs to come when I'm kind of more just going about this process a little bit more naturally. In an ideal world, yeah, this would have been finished in 12 weeks if I was uninterrupted, but that ain't the reality. So yeah, I wrote like procrastination is really allowing me to experience the readings in this work in a timing that is more aligned with my life. So always making room for that while being on top of your consistencies, that is definitely the balance. And I think that's what you're learning through this process, like how to stay on top of your consistencies but still allow sort of the blessings to come into your life and work its way into what you're hoping for. That's what I'm learning. And I always thought I had like a strong sense of like self and autonomy and choice. And it's really amazing when I learn like, okay, it could be stronger. I can have a stronger sense of autonomy and a stronger sense of choice and purpose in what I'm doing. So yeah. It's funny how a lot of things always come back to self-regulation. Self-regulation is really the key to self-mastery. And it's interesting how complicated of a puzzle that is for every single individual. That's what I'm learning. In the beginning of the reading, she talks about self-acceptance. And I think that's a part of it, like accepting that you are this complicated puzzle piece as an artist. You have a lot of buttons that can be pushed, and you need to figure out the combination of buttons that work for you, and the combination of buttons that give you a specific result. Is about really figuring out how I can put myself in the best position to receive the information that I'm asking for. How can I put myself in the best position to allow things to unfold naturally? This chapter also talks about success and how you can't, write your success in stone and be like, this is how everything is going to unfold for me. You can have dreams and hopes and aspirations, and more than likely it will exceed your expectations. But I definitely approached my career prior to this in a more like structured way. Like, I'm gonna have this role and this role and this role, and then after I have this role, I'm gonna have this role. And when all of that fell apart, it was very hard to even understand why. And I wrote this in response to that. Creativity is a spiritual practice that encourages and requires alignment with the divine, and it is the alignment with the divine that creates abundance and access in my life. I feel very aligned with these statements. I'm gonna add these to my personal artist prayer for sure. But what that means to me is like, in order to create from the best place possible, you have to be aligned with yourself. Alignment takes a lot of things because, again, we are artists and we are complicated puzzles. And then when you do that is when the abundance and access starts to build and occur. And I can already feel that being within this process and still not doing everything correct, still not doing everything right. I think that's also part of like, that has to be a part of like the gag of the course. Like, can an artist really do this course perfectly? Like, I don't know, but I think the attempt and the aspiration to just see this course through and see it through is definitely the most important part. And that's definitely a lesson that like I needed to learn with pursuits, like, okay, you just have to see it through. I think that I definitely would get discouraged before even letting something be complete, and just because I wasn't doing it in the perfect way that I wanted to. So that's a good lesson. And autonomy, again on autonomy, like, I don't know if y'all ever experienced, like, sometimes it's easier to get work done when you allow yourself to have the time that you need to have, and then you can get back to your work. So spending quality time with your artist, hence these artist dates, can allow more time for your non-artist self, your lizard brain, or whatever she wants to call it, to get work done. The mundane tasks of life still have to be done, and your artist doesn't want to do any of that. So spending quality time with your artist through these morning pages, through the dates, through these assignments, really allow me to have more space to, like, go to work and give more, because I feel like I've already given what I need to myself. I wrote, creativity is its own reward, which is so true. And I think that's why I also, sometimes it's hard for me to even put a business or success mindset to my creativity, because I'm like, it's its own reward. Like, I just want to be able to do the thing. But in this universe, to be able to do the thing, you have to be able to work with the material. So that's why we are here. So yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter because she talked about success, acceptance, and exercise as tools for, I'm taking it as tools for maintenance, as tools for prosperity. Well, success, when she talks about, well, acceptance and exercise as tools for prosperity. And then when she talks about success, she just talks about how artists really get tripped up, that last minute self-sabotage. I am so good at some last minute self-sabotage. And I'm gonna read some quotes. I like this one. As artists, we are spiritual sharks. The ruthless truth is, like, if we don't keep moving, we sink to the bottom and die. And that's when I was talking about my current struggles with autonomy, and why there's struggles there is that, yeah, I feel like I force myself maybe to sit still or to just watch or endure, when sometimes the solution is to just keep moving and keep inertia flowing and going, so you don't have to necessarily slow down your plans. When life gets crazy, you just can self-regulate and get back into it. Here's another quote. As artists, we are travelers, too heavily encumbered by our worldly dignity, too invested in our stations and positions. We are unable to yield to our spiritual leadings, not yieldings. We insist on a straight and narrow when the artist's way is a spiritual path. And that definitely influenced the writing that I shared with y'all earlier. But I can definitely see how that was where I got so tripped up with myself. I was like, in the past, I've been like, this is what I've provided, this is what people like for me, this is where I'm seeing success, so this is what I have to keep doing. And now I'm learning, like, no, as an artist, people want to see you be engaged with yourself. That's what people want to see. And people are smart, and they can feel when someone is disengaged with themselves but still creating and sending, and then people become bored because they can sense that you're bored with it too. And I wrote down to myself recently, like, I think that social media, even though it's digital, I feel like people can feel if you're having a somatic experience with what you're creating. And So this was really important to me, and like especially since social media is the only really way that artists are able to communicate now. Having an authentic experience on there is really tough, and the only way to really do that successfully is truly staying aligned with like yourself through the practices that the artist way is giving, like real good. um, and like then she talks more about just like when you're in a creative rut, when you're a successful artist, how to kind of get through that. And it says it means writing your morning pages, taking your artist date. It means continuing to exercises for the mind and the body. Exercises for the mind now and the body later. I wrote that down and I like that. And I think just taking advantage of your autonomy casually is going to make it easier for you to take advantage of it when it's serious, and you know you have maybe hundreds and thousands or millions of people looking at you, and you need to be able to make the right step. That used to terrify me, and I think that used to really like stop me from making moves. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if I get all this attention, and all this attention comes with all this responsibility. And you know what? My therapist told me I'm only responsible for myself. So, synchronicity, autonomy. And then maybe lastly, before I go, I want to mention that I haven't really been doing my artist dates, but I think that an artist day sounds so much better to me than an artist date. Like, planning like a day maybe every 2 weeks, or maybe for my artist to do, because I just love luxuriating in my thoughts all day and not really have to worry about stuff. So I'm gonna think about that, and it's gonna probably involve phone off situation, because the phone is a big distraction that really sucks autonomy too. So I'm so excited to almost be done with this process, and I'm excited to have this in my body to remember, and then like using it in the future and seeing how it changes course for me. I think that's it. It's happened.